Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And today I have a little card project for you. I'm using, it's a Fast and Beautiful. I haven't named one of those for a while. And so you can do this with any pattern paper, and it's almost a card layout. And I'd really like to talk to you today about card layouts. And that is where you find a card project that has a certain pattern to it that you can use over and over again, and you change the colors or you change the paper and it really looks like a completely different card. And so let's just get started. Okay, these are the two cards I want to show you how to make today, and show you then how they can be made like this or differently, and I'm using exactly the same material on both cards. So what I'm starting out with is a card base of Blueberry Bushel, and then this beautiful pattern paper from the Sia Silhouette. And what I did to maximize the use of my paper is I cut these squares 4 inches by 4 inches. The original idea for this came from a card that I saw Dina Ricow, the Creativity Cave, make, and she made one similar to this. However, she didn't use ribbon and she didn't use a layering piece behind, and but she cut her pattern paper like this, and it just made me think, as I started to put mine together, that I didn't like it near as well without the layering piece behind it, and so I changed it and made it a bit more mine. And on the inside, I've used the pieces. If you'll see, this one is cut kind of at a funny diagonal here, and I'll show you how to cut that and get that look. And then I just used the pieces I chopped off for the inside decoration of the card. Then this one is using exactly the same card pieces. And what I've done here is I have used my stitched nested labels dies here to make these two labels, and you can pick any two that are real close to one another here. I think I used, let's see, which ones did I use? Maybe, nope, that's too small. So it must have been, yes, this one, and then the size larger to cut out the larger die. And part of what I want to show you today is that then using these dies, the two circle dies that are close together inside and the two oval dies. Now you could also do this with the stitched rectangle dies, which I didn't do, but here is a label choice then out of the same kind of look, and here is an oval, or this is the oval and this is a circle. But you get the idea that you could change up the look of this whole thing by just changing the size of the label and or the shape of the label, and that would go lovely on this card. This would change it up pretty dramatically, and or like this. In any case, and I thought maybe I would use at least this one today as we go through and put this together. And let me show you here what you need to do, make these cards. I'm using a Blueberry Bushel piece of cardstock that is 8.5 by 5.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. Then I'm using my squares here of this pretty Sia Silhouette from the Sia Silhouette paper suite. I'm using two 4x4-inch squares. Now, because I cut this 4x4, I can get 3 across the top, 3 across the middle, and 3 across the bottom. So I can get 3, 6, 9. I can make 9 cards with one sheet of paper. And it's just then being creative about how you cut it, how you slice it, any number of things that you can do with this. Might be kind of fun to cut this in half and then splay the two pieces a little bit far apart like this and put them on your paper and do something different. This paper could easily, and this card could be done this way with your sentiment coming across this way, and then the card is one that opens like this. Same thing with this. This same pattern can have the ribbon going across this way, or leave the ribbon vertical and put your piece here on the bottom. So there's a lot of things you can do with this. And my embellishments that I used on this were the ones from the Noble Peacock Rhinestone group. Okay, so let's just get started. So I have a layering piece for the outside and for the inside in both cases. I'm using the smaller piece on the outside. This one is cut 3 3/4 by 5, and then the layering piece for the inside is 4 by 5 1/4. And on this one, I'm using two pieces that are 4. Oops, that one's not right. 4 by 5 1/4. I'll just have to trim that down. And then the labels, and I'm using the Blueberry Bushel gross grain ribbon from the catalog. This is fun because there's many different colors that you can get this ribbon. Blueberry Bushel, yeah, gross grain ribbon. And so I'm using that on the cards, and I put a bow. Now, this paper is very interesting in that I made it a little bit more feminine by adding a bow, and on this one I left it without a bow, and I think it's a pretty decent masculine card. Just leaves and blue. And so without the bow on here, I think they both make great birthday cards or even a sympathy card on here, and they can be either masculine or feminine. So I think this one is very versatile as a card layout. And by that, again, I mean using this size pattern paper, some white card bases here, layering pieces, and some labels, and depending on how you put it together, it can change up quite a bit. Okay, so let's get my trimmer out here so I can show you what it is I've done. Now then, this one I need to be 4 by 5 1/4, so let me trim that one down to start with. And then let me show you how I trimmed this little piece of paper for this one. So what I did was, and this is something that Dina showed in her video, is she put her point in the cutting channel, and then she put this bottom piece at a 1/2 inch. So carefully getting it so that it's just like that, and then you just trim off this end. Now we're going to save those ends because we're going to use them on the inside of the card, and then you do the same. Now you can do this a couple different ways. This, if you put on here and you back it up to a line that's straight, it automatically gets this to the same place. So either way, you can line this up to get it straight on this side, or you can just put this side in the channel and then back down here at the 1/2 inch and trim that piece. And again, we're going to save that piece for our decoration on the inside. Okay, and so there we have our little piece of paper. Now, again, that can go on our card base here one way or the other. So here, I put it this way, and I've got a little bit of a border kind of all the way around, and I didn't raise this. So what I did was just put some snail on the back of this one. Isn't that a pretty piece of paper? So we're going to just put some snail here on the back of my card here, and then put that into place. And this is the piece that should be 5 by 3 3/4. And I'm going to hover this until I'm happy with the margins here, top and bottom, and left to right, and there we go. Isn't that pretty? And then this I laid flat on my card base. So again, and I left a nice big rim around this so we could really appreciate the blues in this. All right, so I'm going to just add some snail here. But before I put it on, I want to add my ribbon, so I'm just going to put it here on my silicone mat so that it won't stick to something else. All right, so here I've got a piece of this blueberry bushel ribbon, and I need to cut a second piece here. About like that. And I'm going to go ahead and add some snail, and I like to add dot runner to the back of ribbon. It just seems to make less of a mess. Now, what I'm going to do is use my grid paper here, bring my card base down here to the bottom of my silicone mat, and put this whole thing on this bottom line of my grid paper. Can you see that? It doesn't look like you, well, there. Okay, so that's right along the bottom line of the grid paper there. Then my piece of ribbon is longer than that, so I'm going to go up 2, 3, 4 squares about an inch, and I'm going to lay this across here so that I can line it up with the grid lines on the paper. And that way I'm relatively assured that that piece is on there straight. I'm going to wrap my ribbon around the back, and on this one I just butted the two pieces of ribbon right up against one another. So if I put some snail on this one, and I'm pretty sure this other one is straight, then what I can do is just add this right next to that, and I should have straight ribbon. Okay, and there we go. And then on this one, I thought since we already had an interesting shape with the paper, that I would use my ovals. There they are. Okay, so on this one, I'm going to set my ovals down here on this card, and it changes it up just slightly. Let's see, what do the circles look like? Well, I could do the circles up here, and it would change this pretty dramatically. I think I'm going to use the circles. Okay, so I have a stamp here, and my stamp says, "Wishing you all the best," and I like that one because it could be used for just about anything. A congratulations, a birthday, you could put your birthday sentiment inside. And I'm using my Blueberry Bushel ink, and so I'm going to move this out of the way here and stamp my "Wishing you all the best" that's going to fit on here just perfectly here. Ink up my stamp. So "Wishing you all the best" across my circle there. And then I'm going to layer this piece on here with a little bit of snail. And then I'm going to put some dimensionals on this piece. There we go. Well, let's just see what it looks like when I add the rhinestones. So I have the peacock rhinestones here, and I think what I'm going to do is work with the largest ones, and maybe I will add both. Well, let's add the green ones to this one. So I'm going to add a green one here, and I'm using the largest of these, one up here in the corner, and then one down here in the corner. And there we go. I'm not going to add a bow to that, but I'm ready to put this piece on my card front now and get that put into place, and there's the front of my card done. Now we're going to take the inside piece here and add some snail. And place that piece on the inside of my card. And this is really a very fast card in the end. And these two pieces, I'm going to add a little bit of snail, and I'm just going to put one edge flush to the side here, and leaving myself a little bit of margin. It looks like that piece could be a little bit shorter. So let's see. I think I need to take off about that much. Okay. So setting that there. Let's see if this piece needs some trim also. Yes, just a hair. So I'm going to cut a little piece off of there and add some snail to the back of this one and put it going the opposite direction. Trying to match the border size on the other side here. There we go. And I think that makes for a nice, simple card. And I'm really pleased with the way these are coming out. Okay, so I'm going to set that one aside, and we're going to make this one. So now we've got these two with different messages and different colored rhinestones on it. And then this one, we are going to bring back my trimmer. And on this one, this is 4 inches, so I wanted to cut this one down into 1-inch strips. So they would go 4 straight across the front here, 1 inch, and 1 inch. And you can see that while I'm using exactly the same materials, this changes this up quite a bit. So again, from my video on tips and tricks where I talked about using 1, 2, and 3 and 4 inch strips of paper cut by 4, this is one of those that gives you a completely different look. Okay, so let's take my card layering piece here and put some glue on the back of these strips, and what I'm going to do is put this down on either side first, right on the edge, and leaving about a 1/4 inch margin there so that it covers absolutely from top to bottom. Then I'm going to take my next 1-inch strip and do exactly the same thing on the opposite side, leaving about a 1/4 inch and getting this paper right on the bottom edge of the paper and setting that in place. Now I can put these two pieces in here and get them. It looks like it's a tiny bit more than a 1/4 inch to get that spacing just right. So now I think I know what I'm doing. So I'm going to put some snail down on this piece and set it into place, matching the top and bottom edges here. There we go. And then this one should fit just right in there with a perfect little border. Okay, so here we go, right on the edge. And as you can see, I did lay this down so that the pattern carries across. And I didn't necessarily do that on this one. So it depends on how much you like symmetry. If you keep them in the order that you cut them, it's pretty easy to put them on so they're just spaced apart. This one went for a different kind of look. This one, they're kind of back and forth, and you could mix it up by just turning them upside down. Okay, so that's this one. Now we're going to put on our ribbon, and in this case, I spaced the ribbon a little bit apart. So I'm going to cut off 2 lengths of ribbon. And let me tell you how long this ribbon is. It should be, since that's 5 1/2, I'm sure it's about 7 inches. Yeah, just 7 1/4. So a couple of pieces of ribbon that's about 7 1/4, something like that, just so that you have enough to go across your 5 1/4 inch piece here and have enough to tuck it on the back comfortably. All right, so I'm going to put some snail on the back of my ribbons again. And I liked cutting this one a little bit longer so I could use my grid paper to help me get it straight. In this case, since I don't have glue on the back of this, I can just put this one down here, and I know I want to come up about 1 inch, so that would put me at the 1 inch grid mark here, and I can set that across and then go ahead and add a little bit more snail to hold that on the back side. There we go. Okay, so there's that one. And on this case, I'm going to take this second piece and I'm going to put it up just a little bit higher. So again, I'm going to put some snail on my ribbon here. And when you think about doing card layouts, this one would be fun to just take a notebook, a spiral bound notebook, and get them for a dime this time of year with school supplies, and just make your card layout out of just black and white paper, or scraps or retired paper that you don't care about, that kind of thing, and plaster one on a page, just the card front itself, to get the idea of what this could look like, and make yourself a notebook that really has these layouts in it, and then you can repeat this with different colored beautiful paper, and you can have something that's familiar and very fast to go. But on this one, if you think about changing this and using some of the other paper in the Sia Silhouette, I think this paper would be awesome on here, because you'd pick up different colors depending on where you cut your 4x4s, and you could pick up different accent colors in the background. This piece right here would be stunning on either this kind of yellow gold here, or on the old olive, or on Seaside Breeze, and then some of these in Poppy Parade, or some of these in a bright yellow or black would be stunning. So I think there's a lot you can do with this. All right, so this one, and I think on this one I'm going to use the oval, but I'm going to use the same stamp, which is going to actually work a little bit better because of the shape of the stamp on this one. But again, using my Blueberry Bushel and getting my stamp inked up here and stamping my sentiment right across the center here. There we go. And you can use whatever ink complements your paper, and you can always use black. It's kind of universal. Okay, now on the other one, I smudged that a little bit because I don't think I let it dry. So on this oval, while that's drying for a quick second, I'm going to put my dimensionals on the back of this. Now this should be dry. I'm going to add some snail on the back of it and center that on my oval here. There we go. And put this piece on here, or shall we make this one this way and put it this way? I think maybe we'll do that. So that, again, you can see the versatility of this. So I'm just going to peel the release paper here, and we're going to add this piece right here on this piece. And I have another of these blueberry bushel pieces here. Now this one is going to fit a little differently on the card because it's a larger layering piece. But that's part of the beauty of this. It changes the whole thing when you change the layout just a hair. So think of all of the cards that you've really loved over time, and what's the common layout for that card, and how could you take that and make it look different by using different color materials. I think that is an interesting way to think about card making, and makes fast and easy cards pretty simple. Okay, so there we go. That's on there, and on the inside of this one, I just put a couple pieces of ribbon and the leaf. So I think we'll do that on our other piece of white paper here. So I'm going to take a little bit of ribbon, and I'm going to do that again. Now for this ribbon going across the short side, this piece is about 5.5 inches long. Now I have cut out a leaf out of the pattern paper so that I could bring the outside of the card into the inside, and I'm just going to attach this little leaf right under my ribbon here and glue it down, and there we have the inside decoration. Now I'll put this piece in place, and there we've got two cards that are pretty painless. Simple, easy, and yet I think the graphics on this make these cards just stunningly beautiful. So there we go. And think about all of the pattern paper that you have and cutting it into 4x4 squares and getting, you know, some pretty completely different kind of looks depending on how you put it together. So that is the project for the day. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator. All of my customers receive a card from me at the end of the month that is repurposable. They also get a product gift or something that I've made as a gift every month for placing an order with me. And my prize for the month is a bundle out of the new holiday catalog at your choice. So, and all it takes to be in my drawing is to place an order on my website, www.lbedinger.stampinup.net, or you can get to it through my blog, www.inkandingenuity.com. Two announcements. First is I am going to do a holiday catalog paper share. So, I think I'll have the details on my blog maybe later today about the cost of that. And it's pretty reasonably priced. You pay for a quarter of the papers, all of the designer series papers in the catalog, and I usually include some kind of a bonus. And I was thinking it would be fun to use the new Mercury glass paper. Designer acetate is actually what it is, as my bonus in the paper share this year. And I'll have all the details up on my blog and the dates. I think I'm going to cut off ordering or signing up for it at the end of the month in August, and then put out my invoices, and then I'll order paper on the 4th, and then I'll get it in, hopefully, barring any shortages, I should get my paper in around the 7th. I'll cut by the 10th, and it should be in the mail to people around mid-month. So anyway, that is one of the things. And the other thing is, if you are willing to share this video and you share that, make a comment below, I'll send you 2 of these cards today that I made. So thanks so much for watching. I do so appreciate it, and I'll be back soon with more cards, more tips, and more projects. Bye.